This life is an illusion. When I was in Canada, I wanted to make a trip to Turkey. On my way back, I wanted to stop in the Netherlands to visit a loved one. When I was in Turkey, I even had to purchase a new ticket to make it to the Netherlands. Ultimately, on the day that I had to fly to the Netherlands, I got up around 3 a.m. and made it to the airport. At the airport, there were some complications, and I was so anxious whether I would make it to the Netherlands or not. Ultimately, I got into the plane and I was on my way to the Netherlands. As the plane took off, I was counting hours. And then as it got closer to the country, I was counting minutes and I was watching the flight schedule on the screen. And ultimately, there was 10 minutes for the plane to land. In 14 minutes, you will be in Amsterdam. Can't believe it. So we are literally in Holland, the world's capital. So the plane landed and I had to go to the car rental company. And there I was again anxious whether I will get the car or not, because I am not from that country. I went from one car rental company to another one, and finally they accepted my driver's license credit card and I got the car. Then I was anxious whether I will be able to drive in that country and find the directions. So I found the GPS and inserted the direction, and I was on my way to her house. On my way to her house, I made a few mistakes, but ultimately the GPS showed that I was about 15 minutes away from her house. I was super happy. Ultimately, I made it to her housing complex and I asked a guy there for that particular house and he showed it to me. I went to that particular house and I did ring the bell. So she opened the door. I entered the house, sat on the couch, and she made tea and delicious cookies for me. I drank perhaps a cup and ate a few delicious cookies. Then we decided to go to her mom's graveyard. On our way to the graveyard, we found out that the graveyard's gonna be closed by the time we reached there. Then we had another better idea. Actually, I should say our hearts were inspired with another beautiful idea, and that was, let's go for dinner. So she knew which restaurant to go, and that was Kabul restaurant. We went there, we sat at that beautiful restaurant, we were received very well and had the most delicious meal there. And we had very fruitful, spiritual, intellectual conversation. At some time, the owner of the restaurant said, well, it's getting closer to 10 p.m. and we are going to close the restaurant. So we left the restaurant and we walked to our car. We sat back in the car and we drove back to her house. And we re-entered the house. As we re-entered the house, I sat back at the exact same spot that I was sitting an hour ago or 2 hours ago. And that teapot and those delicious cookies were still at the same spot. And that's when the miracle happened. I was told, hey Dawood, you made exhaustive efforts. You were super anxious to make it to here. You made it. And You think that you went to the restaurant, but you didn't. You are still sitting at the spot that you were sitting 2 hours ago. So it was as if we had never left, and our journey to the restaurant, the meal, the journey back to home were all illusions and not reality. It really hurt me. I couldn't even take that experience. But that was a kind of spiritual discovery. I was shown that this is illusion and there is something beyond illusion that's called reality. You have to discover the reality. And may God Almighty help us to discover what is called reality. And once we have discovered, with the special help of God, the reality, we will know the difference between illusion and reality. Thank you very much for your time.